Let's graft. Okay, we're gonna put these two different pieces of stockinette stitch work together. So the first thing to be sure of is that you want to make sure that the faces of the fabric are both in the same direction. So we want to make sure that we've got our V's upright, unless your pattern calls for the opposite, which would look like that. That's not very usual. I do have one pattern that calls for that, but for this, we're going to be doing all V's on front. All right, so you want to make sure that your needles are pointing to the right and that you've completed a whole stockinette row and the following purl row. So both pieces are ready for the next V row. So once you have that ready, then you're going to go ahead and line it up like this so that you've got a front needle and a back needle. And you would ordinarily be doing this with the tail of your working yarn, but for our purposes here, so that you can really see it, I'm going to use this red yarn. So you want to go ahead and thread your yarn on a tapestry needle. And for a piece this long, I would use about 2 feet of yarn for this. What we're going to be doing is adding an entirely new row of V's to connect these two. It's really cool. So go ahead and hold your work just lightly in your left hand. And we're going to first do a setup row. So for the setup row, you're going to work, we're always going to work with the front needle and then the back needle. And for the first thing we're going to do is go purlwise with your tapestry needle into the first stitch of the front needle. And then we're going to go knitwise into the first stitch of the back needle. And I'm going to just pull my little tail down. Okay, so we're going to go knitwise into the front stitch of the back needle. And we're going to leave both of these stitches on the needle. We're not going to pop them off yet. And you don't want to pull it too snug, but don't let it be too loose either. You want to roughly have the same tension that you had with your actual knitting. So now that we've done our setup, we're going to work in pairs of 2. So we're going to get these stitches taken care of, and then this pair, and then this pair, and go on like that. So we're going to always work front needle and then back needle. And there's 2 moves we're going to do for each needle. So my trick is to always think of the front needle as the knit needle and the back needle as the purl needle. And I'll show you why. So first, we're going to go knitwise into the first stitch of the front needle. That's why I call it the knit needle. And I'm going to push the needle down a little bit. We are going to pop this one off. And then we're going to go purlwise into the next stitch and pull it through without popping it off the needle. And then I extend the needle back. The trick is, the thing that could get risky is that you might accidentally pull off stitches you don't want to. So I always make sure to go slow and adjust the needles. So we did the first one on the front needle. Then on the back needle, the purl needle, we're going to go in purlwise to the first stitch, scoot it down, pop that one off, and then we're going to go into the next stitch knitwise and leave that one on the needle. So I pull the needle back out and go ahead and pull your yarn through. And then we're just going to repeat that pattern. So I'll say out loud how I think of it in my head. So I do the front needle is the knit needle. So I go knit, pop it off, purl, keep it on, and then you pull it through. And then on the back needle, you go purl, push the needle down, pop it off, knit, keep it on. And then you pull the yarn through. And you do want to pull the yarn through to your tension as you go. It doesn't work to tighten it all up at the end. So that's the other thing to be aware of here. So we'll keep going. Front needle, knit, pop it off, purl, keep it on. Then you pull it through. Back needle, purl, pop it off, knit, keep it on. So as long as you remember that the front needle is the front needle is the knit needle and the back needle is the purl needle, you won't get too confused, because for each set of stitches on each needle, you're going to go knit, purl on one needle and then purl, knit on the back needle. So let's keep going. Knit, pop it off, purl, keep it on. Then pull it through. And then on the back needle, purl, pop it off, knit, keep it on. So we're going to continue like that across the amount of stitches that you're grafting. And then I'll show you what to do with the final stitch.